So let's kind of talk about how does lymphatic stagnation connect to acne? Because I think this is something that people don't realize because they're like, well, what do you mean? How can I have acne topically, but like, how does my lymphatic system impact that?
Well, number one, the lymphatic system will help carry cellular debris, toxins, and things like that to the collarbones. And what happens is if it doesn't get to drain and you're filled with this fluid that it sometimes can be more toxic in the lymphatic vessels, it will purge, it will come forward. And I mean, it's like simplistic kind of like the way to chalk it up, but it is like your lymphatic fluid will purge through the skin and that will manifest in either acne, eczema, dermatitis. It can be a lot of different things that it is shown through the skin. So when you get that lymphatic fluid moving, you open up the drain, you get things going, moving and grooving, it makes almost an immediate help to acne. And also things that often come with acne is it's kind of called like moon face now. You'll see you're just like this puffiness. And that is exactly that. You have all this fluid stagnation. You feel puffy.
Today, I'm actually really excited for this episode because we haven't done a lot of technique-focused skincare episodes. And today it's all about the lymphatic system and Gua Sha. And we're going to get into a little bit more, but we brought in an expert for today because I think this is a topic that you really need to know your stuff. So we brought in the lovely Alexandra Fox, who is the founder of Inner Beauty Shop. It's this super cute little like online boutique. You have to check it out in the show notes. And she has dedicated it to really making self-care practical, educational, and a really intuitive part of your daily life versus having to be that added chore. And as a passionate holistic esthetician, Alex loves to blend traditional wellness practices like TCM and Ayurveda, which is what we love doing here. And Cris Brown, she loves to blend it with the modern research, which is basically the Clear Skin solution in a nutshell. So Alex's mission is to empower others to share knowledge and help them build lasting self-care habits and feel their best. So Alex, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. What a lovely introduction. That is so kind. I'm so excited to be here and just to chat a little bit more about Gua Sha and blood flow and lymphatics. And as you guys said, I feel like it's so complementary to what you guys talk about, that balance of modern wisdom and then the science and pulling it all together. So I'm so excited to be here.
And I love your Instagram because it's so education focused, which is what we are all about. And I love that you're showing like actual techniques and like how to be doing these things at home versus always having to go, like everyone loves to go in for a facial treatment. Like, let's be real. We love it.
I need to be pampered. Like I need to go in and have that treatment for sure. But as you guys obviously preach too, then there's this missed gap, which is what you do at home and then how to do it. And you feel so lost. I love the analogy. You wouldn't go to the dentist and then not brush your teeth at home. I heard that in a podcast a few months ago and I was like, yes, that's exactly what I've been trying to say, because you have to go home and do the work at home. And just sometimes clients are like, but I just don't know what to do. Like, I have no idea. So thank you. We've tried to make the Instagram very educational so we can just send people there and let them kind of have their own journey and learn, which is the goal.
It's a choose your own adventure. Everyone loves to choose.
Depending on what your body needs, the right thing will come up.
Exactly. The universe will align for you. So we got a lot to go through. We're talking lymphatics, we're talking Gua Sha, we're talking how it relates to acne. So let's really start, Alex, for those that aren't familiar with the lymphatic system. And if people have been listening for a while, they know it's actually one of my favorite body systems to talk about because it's so underrated.
It is so underrated. I think it's also a little bit misunderstood as well. The lymphatic system, it often gets chalked up as just like part of detoxification, which I know you guys speak a lot as well, which it's not actually detoxing the body. It's how you're moving toxins throughout the body so then it can be detoxed by the actual detox organs. We have lymphatic vessels all over our body. We have main clusters of lymph nodes that often get blocked, which I know we'll talk about a little bit later. But your lymphatic system doesn't just transport toxins. It also helps to transport fat and salts and nutrients and hormones, which is a huge one. Hormones. Like a lot of people don't realize how much the lymphatic system impacts your hormonal imbalances. And that's a huge part too with acne and stagnation. And just moving waste throughout the body. We have interstitial fluid before it gets into the lymphatic vessels all throughout the body. Then it is collected by the vessels and everything drains above the collarbones, which is also a crazy fact that we're never taught. Like all the lymphatic fluid in your whole body drains here. You would never think to, number one, work this area or just know that this is where everything is sucked to. I find that really fascinating. It's also a one-way track. So, it's not going everywhere. It's literally everything is just trying to get to what we call the terminus, the end point. Yeah, the lymphatic system. It's a fascinating, there's subsections too. You have your lymphatic section, which is lymphatic drainage of the brain, which is like a whole nother beast, and we're just starting to understand, I think, the depths in it. I'm trying to like keep up with new publications and such, but it's so fascinating. It's like really mainly when you sleep. So then it's how do you support the body? So when you do have that lymphatic drainage at night, you can have the most optimal drainage. A little background quick. In your beauty shop, I started during the pandemic, the lockdown. If you were in Canada, you remember they were quite extensive and it was really difficult. If you were someone working with your hands in person, you weren't able to treat clients for a really, really long time. And then you have clients messaging you being like, all this progress we did, like, what do I do now? So the only option was really self-care at home for a long time. And that's when I started in your beauty shop, and I started with Gua Sha and oil blends and just trying to send them out to clients and then hop on a video with them and curate these really custom routines. And I realized really quickly how important it was to have the guidance and the education. As I was saying before, I've been listening to the podcast and you guys are always talking about hydration. I'm like, yes, that's my thing. I need to drink more water.
Well, hang in with us long enough and you'll remember.
Just even the last month of really listening, I'm like, okay, where's my water? But yeah, during COVID, I think that's how it all started, was just trying to, at first, one-on-one educate with the client, whether it was on a call or I started TikTok and trying to do some tutorials and to teach people how to do it at home. And with that, I really got into a deep dive with the lymphatic system, it's such a fascinating system. And also traditional Chinese medicine. That was a huge thing for me because Gua Sha is a practice of traditional Chinese medicine. As I learn and as I continue to grow as a practitioner and also as a friend or a partner or, a sister, just trying to give people the education as I learn it. That was kind of the start of it as well.
I actually love the background of why you started it, because I think that's like that silver lining of COVID is it really forced so many people to, okay, well, how can I survive when I'm not allowed to leave my house?
And I'm such a stubborn person. I was like, I don't want these check. And it's like, I don't want the herb. Like, I need to figure it out. And then it was like, okay, the world's like literally shut down. I got to figure it out. And yeah, again, like when people are literally messaging you and even for myself, to be honest, in a selfish way, I was also isolated at home being like, everything's tensing up. I have fluid in my face. You're just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I'm like, right, like learn and then help other people and use this opportunity to the best you can, because that's all you can really do in times like that.
So what really made you want to obsess over the lymphatic system?
Well, I think what I realized is when I started getting into lymphatic work, it's one of those things that has its hands in everything. Like lymphatic drainage at its core, when it's not working optimally, will affect everything. Brain fog, muscle tension, digestion, hormones, painful period, like anything that I was treating would come back at a base level. You want to make sure your lymphatics are flowing. So for at home care, especially when I started to understand what Inner Beauty Shop was going to be, I really wanted it to be about self-care at home and making that educational and practical. It was like, oh, okay, it needs to be lymphatic based. Like people just need to know that. People need to know it. Everything drains at the collarbones. People need to know the big six. And that was actually a big point for me. Was I took a course in New Jersey by a doctor called Dr. Perry Nicholson, and he really specializes in lymphatic drainage, and not just lymphatic drainage, but how it affects the body and the muscles and kind of what I'm talking about. It was a huge like light bulb moment for me to learn a lot more about that. But I would say that's the main reason. It affects everything. It's like hydration. It's like if you want to fix something, you need to have good lymphatic drainage, you need to be hydrated, you need to have good sleep. Like it's one of those core things to help any illness.
We 100% agree. Like Cris and I are like, yep, we fully agree.
I was so excited listening more and more your guys' podcast. I was like, yes. And then it was like, oh, that's so fascinating. I didn't realize that. And like, yeah.
Yeah, it's so incredible once you really start digging into that lymphatic system. Like Cris, when we're seeing clients in the Clear Skin Solution, how is that really impacting their body and the symptoms that they're experiencing?
I really summarize the lymphatics to skin congestion. If you have skin congestion, your lymphatics aren't doing its thing, because even if we just draw our hands across very lightly our face, we are stimulating that lymphatics. So it's not one of these aggressive, someone's like, oh no, I work out like 16 times a day and la la la. And I'm like, okay, wow. No, thank you. That's not a part of the lymphatics. The lymphatics, it can be gentle. It can be loving. It's when lymphatics gets congested, that's when it hurts almost. That's when you're going to get the symptom of hurting or aching or pain. Yes, like the nodes in the neck, right? In the sinus cavity. Those are big. Everybody knows those.
I love that. Like the idea of even the aching. What I love to flip to with clients is using that as information. Like when my legs are achy like that, I just know my lymph is not moving. I'm like, why do I have body aches? Maybe I'm fighting an infection. Maybe I was on my feet for a little too long, but what can we do to release it? And then you go through the lymphatic blockages and the pathways, and you'll release it all. You put your feet up the wall and the lymphatic fluid is moving, blood flow is moving, and it feels a lot better. But I also find it interesting. The lymphatic system as well, I'll just say, is a fun little fact that I didn't realize for a long time before even working with the lymphatic system, is you don't think about this. The lymphatic system doesn't have its own pump. It's not like it has a heart beating. It naturally drains through muscle contractions, movement. And I always find this so fascinating, especially when you tell it to people that have no idea about the lymphatics. It really validates this idea that we are humans, that we're meant to be moving. Like when you're sitting at your desk for 8+ hours and you come home and you have dinner and you sit and then you sit on the couch and watch TV, and I get it, trust me.
We get it. We get it.
We get it, and we're all guilty of it. But it just proves. And then someone comes and is like, oh, I want to sculpt a jawline and I have like water retention in my stomach. And it's like, are you moving? And they're like, well, no, and I'm like, okay, well,
why do I need to move?
Why do I need to move? But I'm like, well, let's break that down, because that's quite literally like how to drain the lymphatic fluid naturally. What we're doing when we do with our hands, or Gua Sha is actually more about the movement of blood and releasing that will then affect lymphatic drainage. But anything that we're doing in that regards, we're releasing blockages more. So your body knows where to drain and how to move it, which is why movement is something I've been really trying to push more and more. Because to me, I'm like, something and you think it's obvious. I'm like, people don't make that connection. When you make the connection, people are like, okay, now I'm going to move. And it can be like, I've been seeing a lot more of movement. Like once every hour can be 10 squats. And then rather than like a big run at the end of the day, the 10 squats every hour are actually better in terms for lymphatic drainage and for blood sugar and all these different things, because it's the consistency. I think sometimes we set these goals and you're like, I can't go for an hour run in the morning or at night. Like it's not happening.
That's not happening. I'm not running for an hour.
I don't think ever in my life.
No.
But I have done those 10 squats. I have danced after dinner. I have done little spurts of movement within the day to try and get that going. I love yoga because there's so much inversion, right? So you're like upside down Pilates. It just, even with my workouts, I try to be really mindful of movement and adding that in. Especially when you're time limited. I'm like, I should probably do more weightlifting. But the thing with weightlifting is, and it's probably a misconception too, but you're just like, and I'm like, no, I need to move and flow because my lymphatics need it.
I love that. And I love that you said anyone can do 10 squats. You can do that in a cubicle. You can do that no matter where, pretty much.
There's the types that are like, I don't care, I'm going to do squats. And it's going to be a thing at the office now. We're all going to get up every hour and do squats. And I'm like, that is so beautiful. It's music to my ears. But I have a client who's like, I can't do it. My social anxiety, it's not happening. And she's like, I will literally go to the bathroom. They probably think I have something wrong with me because every hour I'm going to the bathroom and I'm doing 10 squats, or I'm doing jumping jacks for a minute really quick and then coming back to my desk.
Not just that, but everybody remember that if you are stagnant and you can't move because your day entails it, because we are accustomed to a very Western lifestyle, which is go, 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 push, 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 more, less for us, right? Just remember there's these small little nuggets that you can do in between. And it doesn't have to be excessive. Like I said, light touch, light feel, just moving, neck tension, these types of things, get your neck moving, just get what you can moving while you can, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people are on calls, but there's a lot of people that are also doing things that have nothing to do with the camera being on. So why can't you just roll your neck out, for 30 seconds, or just actually do the arms? There's some times where you can be sitting and be doing other things that are a lot more, out there with your body, and it's fine.
There we go. Now we can go to corporate and we can teach people how to be silly without, everybody else. Every time you start a meeting.
Yeah.
Well, I should probably explain the big six because I've already said it a few times.
Oh, I love the big six.
I should probably just go through before I keep saying big six, but they're like, what is it? The big six was, it's a title created by Dr. Perry Nicholson, and essentially it's the main 6 clusters in your body that you have lymph nodes. But they're actually nervo-lymphovascular bundles. So what that means is there's the lymph, but there's nerves, there's veins, there's arteries, there's your main joints. So there are these huge clusters that, again, not just lymphatics, it's so much bigger than that affect your full movement, the full flow of blood, lymph, your nerves, pain, brain connection, right, all the way through. So the first one is your collarbones, right, the terminus where everything drains to lymphatic-wise, behind the ear, underarms, stomach, groin, and behind the knees. So even this in the corporate thing, or just in general, every day, number one things that I recommend for at-home care is the big six. It's just do something with the big six. And people are always like, okay, how or what? And I've created videos on that.
We'll link it in the show notes. We'll link the big six video in the show notes because people are going to be like, how do I do this?
I get it. It's nice to I always prefer to watch something first too. But the goal is just to actually become really intuitive with those areas and become an investigator and go to the collarbones and start to work between the intercostals and the collarbone and all the rib cage and start to feel out where it's tender. You can take as much time as you want, or you can do it all in 5 minutes because you got to go at the door. But yeah, the big six, if those corporate people were doing it every morning before a meeting, I think a lot would come from that. A lot of mental clarity.
A lot of mental clarity. I think the big six is just such an easy thing to do because you can do it, in the morning. Like, it doesn't take long to do.
I have done it probably way too many times in the elevator because I live in a condo downtown Toronto, and it can be a long ride. So, ideally when I'm alone, but the best to me is in the shower. Like, you're in the shower, like, just do it quickly. Or if you're doing it more extensively, I love to grab a Gua Sha tool and actually get into the muscles a little bit more. But as Dr. Perry Nicholson says, slap, tap, rub doesn't matter. He's like, just slap, tap, rub, just get movement in there. And it's so true. Like, don't overthink it. But of course, it is nice to see some technique, and then that will stick, and then you'll be able to be more intuitive at home. But yeah, love the big six.
It's so easy to do. Like, I love doing it whether I'm in the shower or if I forget, like, it only takes a few minutes to do, and you really just do feel so much better. And it's a simple, easy, free thing you can do at home, which I love. So let's kind of talk about, how does lymphatic stagnation connect to acne? Because I think this is something that people don't realize, because they're like, well, what do you mean? How can I have acne topically, but like, how does my lymphatic system impact that?
Well, number one, going back to what we've already spoken of, is the lymphatic system will help carry not only like cellular debris, so like waste, our muscles exfoliating, sounds weird, organs and all that, like cellular debris, toxins and things like that, to the collarbones. And what happens is, if it doesn't get to drain and you're filled with this, fluid that sometimes can be more toxic in the lymphatic vessels, it will purge. It will come forward. And I mean, it's like simplistic kind of like the way to chalk it up, but it is like your lymphatic fluid will purge through the skin, and that will manifest in either acne, eczema, dermatitis. It can be a lot of different things that it is shown through the skin. So when you get that lymphatic fluid moving, you open up the drain, you get things going, moving and grooving, it makes almost an immediate help to acne. And also, things that often come with acne is, it's kind of called like moon face now. You'll see you're just like this puffiness. And that is exactly that. You have all this fluid stagnation. You feel puffy. I had cystic acne my whole life. Like, you wake up and then you're puffy and there's more breakouts and there's all this heat in your face. It's very frustrating. And then you start to incorporate movement of the lymphatic system. And yeah, it's a really easy way to, I would say, help the root problem. Because also lymphatic work, it isn't the root problem. There's something that is infiltrating your lymphatic system that is the root. So maybe, as you guys talk about a lot, we know a lot of it comes from stomach and your digestion. Maybe there's things sitting in your colon and large intestines. Maybe you had mold exposure. Maybe you have parasites. There's other root things.
There's so many.
But one thing for sure is that if your lymphatics are congested, those toxins are just going to sit and they're going to purge in your back, your shoulders, your face. And another fun fact, 1/3 of all the lymph nodes are in your face and neck. Because number one, you have all your main filters here, right? Your nose and your mouth. You have so many pathogens that are coming in through the nose and the mouth that you have to filter, but you also have your brain. So there's so much here, but that also means that it's breeding grounds for fluid to harbor and to stay and then to purge. It's one of the most common reasons we have so much acne on the face. And normally you get them over where you have a big lymph node, which is also fascinating, right? You see like those clusters in the jaw, you see them in here a lot. Yeah, you'll get like the odd thing there, which you might have a lymph node there too, but you more so see them along the lymphatic channels, which is fascinating.
And something that I think is really cool that you brought up that doesn't get talked about a lot is the impact to the circulatory system, right? And if you actually go and like, you can Google this after, go and Google like the lymphatic system, the circulatory system, and they run almost alongside each other.
Yeah, they're together. And that's the whole point with the big six too, is yes, we say lymphatic, but when you're working lymph, you're working blood. When you're working blood, you're working lymph. When you're releasing, they are pressure systems. So when you're working with the pressure of the body, you are affecting both, which is just so beautiful. They're together. I think in textbooks, you just often see, the blue and the red line, the vein and the artery, but there is that green line right beside it too, which I mean, actually normally green would be the vein, but then there's that yellow line, which is the lymphatic vessel. So they're all together.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we have to remember our body works as a unit. It's not like these systems are all working separately from each other. So when we're looking at, the lymphatic system, obviously a tactic that we can be using is Gua Sha. I'm sure people listening, they've seen the Gua Sha tutorials. They maybe are familiar with it. But can you kind of just give like a rundown of what Gua Sha is and then how it can actually help with acne?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll try and not go on too much of a deep rant here.
We love rants. Rant away, please.
To start with the origin of Gua Sha, which is actually such a beautiful origin, Gua Sha was originated in Eastern medicine, and it was really a family folk medicine. So what that means is folk, communal, like the average person. It was something that people would do at home to help treat fevers and illnesses and heat stroke and muscle tension. And your family would very much, almost similar to family recipes, like gather this intel of where to do Gua Sha and pass that on to their children. And do it in a community too. There obviously be experts and such, but it came from a place of empowering the person and empowering the home and being able to treat you at home, especially because, back then, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, there wasn't a walk-in clinic on every corner. We were so much more intuitive back then. I think that's such a beautiful origin as one and why it's so important to teach clients, friends, family, how to use things at home. But Gua Sha, it really is about, you're working with the blood vessels actually with Gua Sha. The goal is to, bring movement and bring release so the capillaries can open and you have more oxygen-rich blood flow to the cells around it, or more so to what that area is affecting. Gua Sha, you learn a lot about, maybe they call them rivers or channels, and actually meridians in traditional Chinese medicine, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, like these different meridians through the body. You have like your stomach channels and your lung channel, and you might be blocked in the upper shoulder, but that is making impact all the way through your hand and all the way through to your chest. And when you're working with Gua Sha, the goal is really to release blockages to help affect the system as a whole. And then what happens is then that also helps the pressure of the lymphatic fluid. So you can use Gua Sha, I mean, in quotes, like for lymphatic drainage, but it's not really by moving fluid. As Cris, you mentioned, the lymphatic can be very superficial, especially in the face. In the body, it goes a lot deeper, especially those lymph nodes that are tucked in between the organs. It's not going to be feather-like pressure, but in the face, it's very much within the stretch of the skin. So when you're doing Gua Sha, normally the goal is actually to scrape. Gua Sha actually means, Gua Sha is scraping, and the Sha, Gua is scrape. Sha is, it's called, I always say it wrong, patika, which is like these little blood vessels, red dots that you see in the skin. So in traditional Gua Sha, you'll see that when people are scraping, that blood comes forward. You don't see that as much on the face for a good reason. You don't need to go that hard. But still, the goal is to release the blockages so then the lymphatic fluid can drain, and then the blood can go and you can get oxygen-rich blood flow to the face to help heal the acne. So kind of going into, the question that you asked about how it can help acne and Gua Sha, it hurts me when I see like, do never do Gua Sha with acne. It's so not true. What you don't want to do is take a Gua Sha tool and shove it into a cyst. Like, yes, that's not going to be a great idea. That's probably going to hurt a lot. It can be painful and it can, like expel stuff. That's not what you're wanting to do. You're wanting to try and figure out where the blockage is coming from and how to release that to then affect the breakout. So, I mean, an easy one, people with chronic acne, their necks and their traps are like always so tight. I almost never see like someone with acne that isn't like have hypertension in this upper area, at least for sure, and in the back. So scraping out the shoulders, getting into the neck. You don't have to go anywhere near the actual breakouts. You can go into the face and the masseter right underneath our cheekbone and start to get those big muscles if you don't have breakouts there. But it is such a great way to increase blood flow. And again, blood flow, when you're increasing blood flow, you're increasing oxygen-rich nutrients. So then now you're helping not only with removing the breakouts, but the post-inflammatory pigment that we all freaking hate. It's like, it takes so long to go away. And that's one thing for me is, well, number one, I used to get cystic breakouts. I would go, okay, well, I'm going to have it for 2 months. And after the 2 months, I'm going to have post-inflammatory pigment or a post-inflammatory erythema for another 2 months at least. Like, I would be so like, frustrated because I would think, okay, well, now I'm scarred for like half the year, essentially. Like this breakout, half a year, and then you get another breakout. So it's very, very frustrating. If I don't do Gua Sha and a good release at least 3 times a week, my cystic acne comes back. Like I swear to goodness. And that probably means I have some other things going on, but you can get away with a lot with just making sure you keep things released and blood flow is coming. And when I do get a breakout, now, like I actually had a cyst, it came and went away within a week. Miracle, absolute miracle. There's not even a scar there. It was like 2 days. I'm like, oh, my journey is still continuing. I'm still amazed with how much progress can come with just bringing nutrients that your body has to an area to heal it. Your body knows what to do. You just have to help aid it to do that. Yeah, but Gua Sha for acne, it's amazing.
Like Cris, don't you love that she broke that myth down? Because we will often hear that, like, oh, I can't Gua Sha because I have acne.
The only time I ask somebody not to Gua Sha is they'll say, when I'm in the shower, and because sometimes, you know what? You can tell when people pick.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, have you been picking? And they're like, no. I'm like, I don't know why I asked you been picking. Like,
I know, right? It's kind of hard. And I say to them, listen, I'm a picker. I'll always be a picker. It's my jam. I do it. But I'm also not dealing with cystic acne. It's a little bit different.
You're not even able to pick with cystic acne.
Right? So I super get that feeling, right? Where it's that need almost, right? That addictive like need. So I always go, okay, so is there picking going on? Like I appreciate that. I'm a picker. So I just need to know, because the way the skin is, you can see it. So one client said, oh, you know what? She goes, it's not that I'm a picker, but even the light touch to the skin, she goes, when I'm washing my face, they'll expose and they'll break open. And then by the time I get, because obviously then you're going to get lymphatic fluids coming out after that, or, some kind of something, depends on where it is, because your body's going to start to try and heal itself. Right. And I said, okay, well, don't do Gua Sha if you have even those smaller ones, but in the shower?
Yeah. And even as you're saying is so correct. At the end of the day, if someone, and a lot of people, when you have severe acne, I remember when I was using Proactive in high school.
Good old Proactive.
Listen, it's still a big thing. I could tell you about 75% of all clients that come in, I see it in their file.
I remember going to Sephora and I was recommended a foundation that was used for patients after chemotherapy, because my skin, it was so red, it was so sensitive, and it was the only option. And I told her, I was like, well, I need something. I have to cover up my face. I have to go to school. I'm not doing this. But I also quite literally could not use any other foundation. It was so sensitive. The idea of two things can be happening at once. So, and there can be different protocols for different areas of the body. So you can do Gua Sha on your neck, on your collarbones, actually on your shins, on the outside of the shins is part of your stomach line in traditional Chinese medicine. That is such a good area to Gua Sha that you can do yourself. The inner underarms, your long line, sleeping, releasing back tension. That has nothing to do with the face. And then what you're doing with the face. Okay, so now you're doing, skin barrier repair. Simple as like you're just doing skin barrier repair. You're making sure that you're bringing the hydration to the face topically while you're bringing hydration internally. And you don't do Gua Sha on the face until things start to clear up, and you can sneak that tool into the masseter or into the sinus and get that circulation. Or maybe all you can do at the start on the face is Gua Sha in the brows. And that's great. Like whatever you can do, there's always going to be a starting point for Gua Sha. But yeah, definitely when your face is peeling like that and you're so sensitive, you can't even wash your face because you're literally like pilling, like skin's pilling off. Yeah, just don't touch it. Don't touch it at all.
Let's give everybody a home exercise here, okay? Because I had the lymphatic on the eyebrows done. Wow. You don't even know what's hanging out in there, but let me tell you, it hurts.
It hurts. Yes.
It hurts. Even to this day, I have this on. Maybe you're going to be like, oh, I know what that is, but I have no idea. But it's on the left side and it's right at the end. I also have thyroid and I've been noticing some connections. I didn't want to say anything, but I am telling you, still to this day, this one little tender spot right here, I can just massage that sucker I think I go numb. I'm like, oh, look at me go. I don't feel it anymore. No, but yeah, I know exactly.
But see, that's what I love about, especially when you're getting into a consistent routine. Yes, people want to see those amazing before and after photos when you're sculpted and there's less fluid in the face. But the real beauty of it is you investigating your body and seeing those changes. So maybe that point does start to go away and starts to feel less painful, or maybe it is still there 100%. So then you need to kind of modify your approach and even look into deeper. What is affecting, the outer brow. There's so many things in this area. Number one, you have so many nerves that just exit the skull on that point. More at the front, you have your trigeminal nerve, which is that terrible pain you feel with a migraine. Oh my goodness. My trigeminal nerve, it's like migraines are a part of my health history it's been such a frustrating thing. But that outer brow, I know exactly what you're talking about. When you have someone that's going in there or yourself and you're like, oh my goodness, what is that? Then you start to work behind it, the temporalis muscle. And then that is always such a game changer when you start this huge muscle belly that is helping your mouth open and close and talk and connected to the TMJ joint. We're all familiar with TMJ disorders, right? It's so common. And you work the TMJ and now your whole brow is lifted and a lot of that pain and stagnation is gone. I always encourage people, we have Google now. It's like insane. Like just look up facial muscles and then you can look up facial nerves and you can look up, you can be curious. Like it's so fascinating to see how things connect and the fascia and whatnot. And then kind of put it together, or you look at, meridians. So in traditional Chinese medicine and what's going on in that? Oh, that's my stomach. Well, that makes sense because my stomach's been a mess. It's fascinating. I really try and have people dig deep and be curious because it's it's
learn about your body. And I think there's a really cool app that's free. It's called Essential Anatomy. And my osteopath told me about it because I love the body layers. And there's a paid version and a free version. But the free version, you're able to turn on and off different body systems. So if you want to layer just with some circulatory system and the lymphatics, you can see how that layers. And then you can zoom in and then you can layer, you can maybe just put on the musculoskeletal system. So you can actually see, and then you can click on the individual muscles and it tells you about it. So if you're somebody that's that is so cool, I recommend the app. It's called Essential Anatomy. It's free.
That is amazing. And literally, everyone should just download that. You know what? Just learn, because I encourage people to be curious if they're not. I think most people are, though, to be honest. Most people are. Most people are so fed up with, being recommended the same things that they're taking their health in their own hands and they're taking their acne journey in their own hands and they want to figure out, okay, what's going on? So I don't go into another doctor's appointment and are just told the same thing or just to go on birth control or something. No. Okay. What's the options and what's going on and what's underneath that breakout? That's a great question to ask yourself. Literally, what is underneath my breakout? Oh, it's a huge lymph node that's connected, right? It's just so fascinating.
I know. It's when you start to really dig in and learn about your body, it's so fascinating that you want to just keep learning about it. And I love that Gua Sha can be such an easy thing that you can be adding into your routine. And what I did is you have a really great How to Gua Sha with Acne tutorial on Instagram. So I linked that in the show notes.
Thank you. And I have a part 2 coming out that will be out when this comes out as well. And hopefully a lot more acne content as well.
Yeah, I know. It's if you have struggled with acne, well, we have all the links for the acne tutorials. We're pre-recording this a few months ahead. So go and check out Alex's Instagram at Inner Beauty Shop. We've linked it in the show notes because there's so many tutorials that you're going to be able to go and do. And I know it can seem really overwhelming, but I love that you break it down in a really beautiful way. And something that I do want to ask before we move on from Gua Sha is, can we talk about why the quality of Gua Sha matters?
One thing that's interesting is Gua Sha, and we kind of talked about it when I went into my one Gua Sha rant, but it did originate from scraping, especially in the body. I think what we just need to remember is facial Gua Sha is not necessarily a different technique, it's a different pressure. So you're still scraping, you're still doing circles, you're still side to side, whatever you want to do. It's just that ideally it's a little bit lighter. And moving on to the tools, one thing when I decided to start selling Gua Sha tools, I of course went down a rabbit hole and was looking at Gua Sha tools and what made them different. And if I was going to start selling tools, I wanted to make sure they were the best of the best. And what I realized is 90% of Gua Sha tools plus are chemically treated. So they get put in chemicals and they're molded. And then whatever stone, crystal, gemstone they are made from, are a lot of those benefits are leaving the stone. We forget, jade has natural infrared. And I mean, for our crystal lovers, we don't even have to say much. There is so much power that we don't even understand in these gemstones. And when you're chemically treating them, you're altering that. And you're also, can be forever chemicals. I don't like to fearmonger, but you get this $15 Gua Sha tool on Amazon. That was my first one too. I get it. You don't know, but that's hot pink. And you're like, oh, perfect. And you're getting it warm and you're melting it into your face. I'm like, oh my goodness. So all of the Gua Sha tools at Inner Beauty Shop are white jade or tiger's eye comb. They're handmade and hand sanded. It takes a lot longer. They're a higher price point, but ideally you buy one once and that's it. You just have to clean it. And it's so important that you have a good quality gemstone to be rubbing all over your face with those properties too. And then also that we have to remember too, with stones, not only there's the energy and properties that naturally come with a tiger's eye or jade, but then there's the energy we put into it. And I would say I'd like to learn a lot more even about the crystals and such. But one thing for sure is you put energy into stones as well. And that's why you'll see like the cleansing with the sunlight and the moonlight. With that chemically, molded stone, like there's just nothing. It's honestly, it's putty. It's dead. It's dead. And you can feel it, right? Like I have that Gua Sha tool still and, my Gua Sha tool, and it's different. And one thing I find so fascinating, my acupuncturist sent me a photo a few months ago. She dropped her Gua Sha tool and she broke it. Don't throw it out. It's a tragedy. I know. It's so sad. She put it, up on her shelf with her plants, and the plants literally grew to the Gua Sha tool. I was like almost in tears. She sent this to me and I'm like, I'm too emotional for this. I'm menstruating. Like, I can't handle this right now. It was so beautiful, but it just really speaks to that there is something going on. And whether it's the jade's natural infrared or, her energy she put into the stone that the plants were appealed to, I don't know. I can't, who knows? But there's something to it for sure. Yeah, it's fascinating. Again, that's the word of the day. I keep saying fascinating, whatever it is. Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to touch on is what are some of the biggest mistakes that people are making with Gua Sha?
You know what? Number one, overthinking it, to be honest, like not doing it. Again, like the beautiful thing about Gua Sha is that it was meant to be this family folk medicine that you could do at home. And I think sometimes we get stuck in this like 30-minute sculpting routine, and
who has like 2 hours to do their...
That's not a common thing. You'll have the odd person that has all the time in the world and amazing. I love that they can do the hour routine. I can't do that. Most people can't. I treat a lot of mothers. They like laugh at the idea of a 15 minutes. They're like, okay, yeah, especially in the morning. They're like, my kids are running around. I don't have any time. So I'm like, number one, night routine is for you. Prioritize the night routine. But just grab the tool, scrape your shoulders while you're watching TV. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be crazy. I think to me, there's so many like clickbait videos of you're doing Gua Sha wrong. Honestly, you're probably not, to be honest, probably doing it fine. Maybe the pressure, if you're like shoving the tool into your face, that's probably a common thing that people, it's like too much for the face. But pressure on the body, you want to be in between pain and pleasure, right? You want to be in between that, like, ooh, that's painful, but that feels good. And I know I need that. And let's add some breath with it to keep the nervous system calm and to release it. On the face, you can do that when you're hitting more like these acupoints. But yeah, just a little gentler pressure. But again, I actually debunk the opposite where I'm like, people overthink it. People want to make clickbait that you're doing everything wrong. You don't know what to do. You do know what to do. You're smart. You're not stupid. You know what hurts. Unless you're pushing a gua sha tool in your eyeball, you're doing something most likely impactful if it hurts and you're releasing it and you're bringing blood flow. So I just tell people, don't overthink it. You're smart. I love that. And then again, use this app. I love it. Like learn about the body's anatomy. You could take the steps further. Clive Witham is someone that I've learned a lot of gua sha from. He's been in this industry for 30 years and he has amazing books on gua sha, the origin, the meridians, the different areas you want to treat that connect to, the whole body for every concern, acne, pigmentation, complexion, like illnesses, like lung, asthma. And so if you want to go deeper, for sure. But if all you have time for right now is just grabbing the tool and scraping your bicep, like amazing. Great. That's going to do wonders. Yeah.
And when people are gua shaing, should they be opening up their collarbones first?
Great thing. So in a perfect world, if you have the time, and for me, I put my gua sha in the morning because I have the luxury of time in the morning. I try and wake up a little bit earlier. I do the big 6. So I'm opening up the collarbones, behind the ears, underarms, stomach, groin, behind the knees. Depending on how much time I have will depend on how much time I work those areas. And then I'm doing my gua sha. So I'm starting with the lymph. I'm getting things flowing. I'm making sure my drain is released. Because again, even though the gua sha isn't necessarily moving the fluid directly, it's going to impact the flow of the fluid. So you want to open the drain for everything. Then I'll go in with the gua sha. And I actually go backwards from the big six. Start at the collarbone. I'll work, all this area here above the collarbone, start to creep up the neck, come behind the ear. Then you work your face and you finish with the forehead and the scalp and come all the way back down. Or you can, if you're coming up the neck, you can come on the back of the scalp there too. But working in that order is super important because you don't want to be pushing fluid or anything to something that's blocked, right? You want to release the blockages and work backwards so things can properly flow.
I love that. Easy. Now, Cris Brown, we're all about self-care, obviously. So maybe what we should do is we can each talk about what our favorite self-care practices are. Because what I love about that is you can see how different it is from person to person, because I think we have this idea that, oh my gosh, these influencers do X, Y, and Z for their routine, so I have to do that. But self-care really comes down to what works for you and what you enjoy. So let's let Alex go first, and then Cris, you go.
Ooh, okay, so favorite self-care, of course, Gua Sha, of course, the big six. I obviously specialize in massage. So my bathroom layout is tools. I have the lymphatic brush, Gua Sha tool, reflexology, my Gua Sha comb, and whatever I'm feeling that day, I'll pick and choose from my little display. Along with that will come, I have to have movement during the day. If I can't get to a class, I try and do stuff in the morning, stretching. And then I think with self-care too, I've been really trying to be mindful of my nervous system because stress is a big root for me right now. Like that is, and actually, one thing that just a little side thing I find interesting is I've been coming to terms with the idea that you can have stress in your life and you're not sad and you're not upset. Like I am so happy and joyful, but I have a very stressful life in the sense that I'm so busy. I work 8 to 8 most days. I'm doing a lot. When I'm thinking of self-care, I'm trying to think of bringing in maybe a little bit more gentleness, some more calmness. I really love frequencies. I'll leave it at that. But just things to nurture my nervous system outside of Gua Sha. And even when I'm doing the Gua Sha, sometimes I'm trying to do it really gentle some days just to regulate everything down.
Love it. Cris Brown, what's yours?
Oil pulling.
Oh, I start oil pulling every morning.
Oil pulling, yep. I will do it anytime I'm going to have a shower. So that's just kind of my thing. And I try to shower every day. Some days I don't, depending on my skin texture, the quality outside, if I've gone outside, like these types of things, because we don't need to shower every day. It actually strips the body of the oils that we need. So long story short is I will always apply that to a bath time routine because I'm already there, right? I'm not extenuating my day. I'm not creating more stress because everybody wants to do more. They have to do more for their acne. They have to do more for whatever. I have an infrared sauna in my basement and I will play binaural beats in there.
She's obsessed with it.
I'm doing it and then for at least 10 minutes, my legs are up.
Oh, that's amazing.
While I'm in there.
I love sauna.
And a little hack because I love
look at this. She's feeling generous today.
I'm not going to tell you which one, everybody, but I will take a little detox supplement after my infrared sauna, my sweat fest, and then I will go shower. And when I'm showering, I have, it's just this, this it looks like a loofah, but it's all silicone and you can turn it on different speeds. And then I will just finish off my lymphatics.
Amazing. I love this. The sauna is, I think it's becoming so much more popular, which is amazing because it's honestly one of the best things you can do. 50 minutes a week at best. That's amazing. Oh, I love sauna.
Cris would live in there. Cris would live in there if she could. Like she would move her office desk in there.
But I love, there was this huge study that came out. I think now it's been a few years with like thousands of people and 50 minutes a week and what it did to like all cause mortalities. Like it's just literally extends your lifespan. It does. We know it does.
It's phenomenal. I will tell you, I go from dry skin. I have an autoimmune. So I go from dry skin in the winter that cannot be remedied. No matter anything that everyone has ever tried because I have cellular dehydration, right? So it's just beyond, sometimes what I say beyond my control, it's not. So it's these types of things that we need to bring into our routine, but also see. So when I sit in that sauna and I do it at least 4 times a week, my face is not dehydrated.
Wow.
Look at that. So something's got to be something.
Yes. No, that's amazing. Well, I have to get you a squalene oil. I know that a lot more I'm sure you're doing everything internal, but squalene oil, not to go on a side rant, but it's been our number one for acne and eczema and people like that are like, there's nothing, I'm hopeless. I'm just going to be dry forever. I'm like, just try one more thing. because it's omega-3 fatty acid rich. It just helps repair the skin barrier. It's very simple. I mean, there's lots of other vitamins and nutrients, but I'm going to send one to you.
I will always take your recommendation because I have tried probably everything clean on the market. And I'm a minimalist, right? So it's got to be in 30 seconds or under. I'm your gal. If you can put a routine 30 seconds or under once a day, I will religiously follow that. If you want me twice a day, listen, you better send chocolates with that sucker.
Cris is the minimalist.
I love that though. And honestly, it's most people, I would say. Honestly, most people don't have like time. They have other things they're trying to do too. So it has to be realistic. I'm excited to hear yours, Katie, your self-care.
My self-care, I would say my favorite self-care, like I love movement as well. So whether I'm doing reformer Pilates, I'm doing yoga. I don't really walk that often in the winter in Canada because it's too cold, but I love walks in the summer. So those, I do love getting movement in. A hot bath, like I love a bath. I love the Bathorian bath salts. I'll do a little face mask. I'll get out and I'll finish my skincare routine and I'll do a little Gua Sha. I usually do mine in bed if I'm like reading or watching a show or something. I would say those. And I love a red light. Like I'm a big fan of red light. So I do my red light. And I feel like sometimes I go through like waves of me being really good at it. But I have a PMF device, like a pulsate electromagnetic field therapy. It's a big ring. It's like I got it at a trade show. I kind of would prefer the mat, to be honest.
It also has infrared heat. I don't have a basement with a sauna in it. I wish I did. But this is as close as I can get. It's, it heats up. You sweat like crazy on it. And there's the different PMF settings. Oh my goodness, you would love it.
I would, because I have the PMF ring, I have the red light, but I also have a sauna blankets. But I would say my number one thing that I love to do for self-care, and this is something I've only just started doing, is rest.
Oh, it's great.
Because I am an overworker, workaholic, overachiever. I have to be doing something at every single minute of the day. And it's really only been in the last, what would you say, Cris, the last few months where I've been like actually giving myself the permission that it's okay to rest.
Rest, that's such a good one. I think we forget that the number one, if you want to biohack or improve your health or your sleep or your skin, sleep. Sleep is the number one health hack, if you want to call it that. It's sleep. You have to sleep.
You got to sleep. And I think that's the perfect way to end this episode that we've had the lovely Alexandra Fox. So if you guys want to learn more about what she does, you can check her out online at innerbeautyshop.ca, Instagram at innerbeautyshop. I linked all of that in the show notes. Plus, I also linked the Big 6 tutorial that she does and also how to Gua Sha for acne. So go and check her out. This was another fun-filled episode. So Alex, thank you so much for coming in and sharing all of this
today. My pleasure. This was so much fun. My first podcast. This was amazing. It was so much fun to get to chat and learn from you guys.
Well, we're so grateful that you came in for the first podcast with us.
Wouldn't have wanted to be anywhere else.
We love it. All right, everybody. Check the show notes for all of the additional goodies. We will see you next week on the Clear Skin Chronicles.